Good morning. This is Taja Etheria with the Cam Model Podcast. Should guys say the Camgirls? I know it's been a long time since I've been on. Been on a little bit of a hiatus. It's been a really, really busy summer. Today, though, I'm going to be completely solo. I just wanted to check back in and do a little summer recap about some of the cool things that are happening in Camland, um, Tajaland, Boleyn Models land, all the wonderful things that are happening. Going to be entering a new program. Boleyn Models, by the way, is a sponsor for this podcast, in case you guys didn't know. But yeah, at the beginning of the summer, I put out some little tips and articles, and I think I may have made a video like about summertime hustle tips. Well, it's the end of July, and I hope some of the stuff has been put into use. I get some feedback about some of the things that we put up on the website and we put out on Twitter for helping you guys. And I hope that some of the tips were able to be put into some use. But even if the summer hasn't been splendid or less than stellar, I mean it's not over, right? It's still beautiful out. There's still chances to hustle to make some beach money, make some 3 day cruise money, whatever you're trying to get that money for, or whatever. You just, want to try to finish your summer strong the last month, August, to hit a goal. It's still quite possible. So, yeah, just so for all intents and purposes to stop rambling, let me just bring back about some of the stuff I was talking about for the summertime hustle tips. Like many of us, we know that if you've been in this business for at least longer than 2 years, that you have a frame of reference. You know that things tend to slow down a little bit in the summertime. Um, not always, but you can expect it. Things change. There's an ebb and flow to this industry, that there are times of the year that you can kind of count on a lot of traffic. People are very generous and tend to spend money and so forth. And in my experience, that typically happens around the holidays, like from October, from Halloween straight into January, like when it's really cold, like for most of us, people tend to get a little lonelier, maybe they have a little bit more money that they saved up for the holidays, so then they want to treat themselves to get themselves in a better, brighter mood. That tends to happen, and then maybe spring, it might slow down a little bit, and then there might be a rise, and then boom, May comes along, and you're rolling into summer. You're like, fuck, where did all my regulars go? Where did all the money go? Where the fuck is the traffic? And blah 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 blah. You get what I'm saying? You know the song I'm putting down, right? So anyways, I had this idea after having a really shitty summer a couple of years ago, like about 3, 4 years ago. I totally didn't prepare for my summer. I was rocking and rolling straight from the holiday season, and I thought I was doing well. I didn't really save up a lot of money. And then May came along, and then it got slower, and then June hit, and I was like, holy shit, it got a little intense, And I remember working more camathons than was humanly possible, and it was just a really grueling summer. And after that experience, I had to stop and think, well, how could I have changed this? What could I have done differently to avoid that? So going forward, after getting through that horrendous summer, I really started to prepare, and I kept mentally in the back of my mind, um, I know my high seasons. I know when I'm making money. And no matter what, I knew that I had to put a little bit of money aside for the safety net. But I started to think about, how do I prepare for the high seasons? Why do I just prepare for the high seasons? Why not take that same energy, keep that same energy, and apply it for what I know is my summer season? That way, it doesn't have to be slow. So hopefully I'm making sense. So I put it down in the summertime hustle tips or cam models article, were little ideas that you could do to get ready. So how would you get ready? You could do something like start creating your customer list. Make notes of who your top spenders are. You should be doing that all year round anyways, but let them know. This is about engagement. This is about customer retention, which is one of my biggest tools. One of the biggest things I pay attention to for my own business is retention, engagement, and keeping up to date and letting them know how you're doing. So, what you could do is right before the summer season or whatever your slow season is, send out messages. Start sending out little emails, newsletters, tweets, private DMs. Don't be afraid to slide in their DMs because how they don't really give a shit about sliding in ours, right? So, you know, be more assertive. Let these guys know what you're going to be doing for the summer. Talk about the last show you did, the last video they did, or the last phone call you guys had together. Whatever it is, talk about it. Flirt with them. Don't be afraid to assume the sale and ask for the fucking money. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that you can do. And then if they don't like that contacted them first, that's fine. Just make a little note that you remove them from your list. They no longer get the goodie updates and so forth. But yeah, I've been doing this for a really long time, and there's probably like one dickhead who was like, he didn't want to be contacted, but he would continuously send me pictures of his dick. So who cares? You know what I mean? Like some guys are like that, but don't be shy to reach out to them. So these are things that you can do to try to avoid like the summer drought. Um, I have to say I've been really busy this summer. Um, Multiple baskets going at one time actually helps content, phone sex, not just working on campsites and logging in and hoping for the best. It's like you kind of have to be a little more proactive in your business and just make it work. But when I started doing that after that shitty summer, I noticed that all the little things I did leading up to the summer, instead of, like I said, hoping for the best, everything kind of was just smooth sailing. And next thing I know, it was September and the money was still coming in. And then it was October, and then it was November, and things started to speed up. And next thing you know, I was in like the holiday mode, and the money was really coming in. So that was just one of the things that I noticed, and I just wanted to like kind of spread that along. And a few other things you can do is like placing ads anywhere that would allow you to put your name, your link backs to your websites, to your content sites, anything like that. Just do it ahead of time. So if it's still like the month left in the summertime and you want to like make some more money, get on it. You could still turn it around. You know what I mean? You could still let these guys know that you're out there. They might be with their family all summer and just dying to get away. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do, but sorry, I'm just rambling and drawing a blank right now. But yeah, so what else is new? Oh yeah, Mannyvids. Mannyvids is now going live. Remember how they had like the Manyvids, the takeovers, and it was just like one girl, one model for like 3 hours every day? Well, as expected, Manyvids has a new option for people to cam all the time, which I think is pretty brilliant. I know some people are like, I'm looking at Twitter, and as always, when there's something new, there's going to be the pros and the cons, the naysayers, the positivity, the negative. It's all expected. You know what I mean? And it's all valid because there's good points, valid points. Sometimes wrapped up in a negative post or tweet or whatever. So yeah, it is what it is. But I'm actually kind of excited about that. I think it's pretty smart. Manyvids is actually one of the more popular sites in the Boleyn Models network. I believe it's like they're at 55% payouts, and for the month of August for the live streaming, it's going to be 60%, which is pretty high. It's going to be a token-based platform. They are, like I said, a part of the daily pay program. So if you're on Manyvids, even if you're not going to do the live streaming, if you want to just like, be a content creator, not just a content creator, but like a content creator, Yeah, you might want to take a look at Boleyn Models. You can check out our Twitter. We got lots of testimonials and a lot of like top dogs from Manyvids in the network. So they could, if you ever need any like testimonials, like hit me up on Twitter at Boleyn Models, and I will like point you in the right direction who to go to. I don't want to do any name dropping right now because that's just fucking, it feels tacky. Although I do give shout outs like quite frequently to people here on the podcast. It's just at this moment it might be a little tacky, so I won't do it. But anyways, um, what I think is really gonna be really cool about Mannyvids is because it's not like a typical new campsite launch where they don't have the traffic. You know, they don't have a culture, an established culture. Like, what is it? People know what it is. They've been around for several years now, building it up slowly. And then at first, remember, everyone thought like, oh, it's just going to be a site for the tiny, like barely legal type girls and stuff like that. Well, lo and behold, it's kind of evolved and developed into something else where it's kind of like become the go-to site for BBWs. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different people. Then you have like a lot of people who are MILFs, older, more mature. It's still probably like a more vanilla site. It's not exactly fetish, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Some people like to say that it's not good for fetish, but I see some stuff on there. It just depends. Like some people are like, oh, it's just like vanilla masturbation, boy girl type shows, um, type content and so forth. But I don't know. I've sold some weird, obscure type fetish content, and I consistently get custom requests for guys on there. So I mean, it might not be like Buck Wild City like clips for sale or anything, but yeah, I think you could definitely be like a kinky model and set up shop on Manyvids. So back to the Manyvids Live. The point I'm trying to make is that if you think it's just going to be for vanilla, I have a feeling that this could be an opportunity for the people who are kinksters on that site who may not get as much visibility um, to shine. You know, so it's like a double-edged sword. It could be a good thing, and it could be kind of a not so great thing. And for what I'm reading and some of the feedback is that some of the people who are content creators, some of the biggest names in the game, aren't exactly streamers. They don't do well live. So they may have started out as cam models, but then they decided, you know, for various reasons, they just like doing content, and they excelled with social media, which, you know, you can work at your own pace. You're not dealing with the free chat aspect. You're not catering to large crowds. You know what I mean? And then there are some people who do really, really well with live shows. And maybe they don't do as much content. And then, of course, there are people who excel at all of those things. So I'm really excited about Manyvids Live. It's going to be tokens, 6 cents a token, 60 cents, 60% payout. But I'm really curious to see if the dynamic on the site changes. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see if you're going to start seeing girls who didn't normally cam start camming frequently, and will they be able to break out of that shy shell? Will you see models that are obscure that you rarely see who might be on there, but they know exactly what to do to go live, and then maybe they'll start rising to the top? For one thing, I do want to point out, though, they do say, first thing when you go to the Manyvids blog, when you go to the article about it, the very first thing that it says is, please note, your MV rank / score will never be affected by tokens earned from MV Live. That's the first thing it does say. But in that same article, it does kind of insinuate that after August, that there's a chance that your MV Live score might be somehow connected with the MV score. So I think that's like a main thing of concern. Someone asked that on Twitter for clarification, and they said that. So they haven't changed the article. I'm hoping that what they said first thing will be right, but even if it doesn't, that could really stir the pot in a good way, you know, like mix things up. So I'm curious, and I'm gonna keep my eye on that one. I think it'll be a good tool, especially for people who don't typically cam on other sites, because sometimes people are on all the sites, and I don't know if that's a good idea either. Like, I always wonder about that. Whenever there's a new site, people scramble to sign up for it, and I'm just kind of like, you're oversaturating yourself, not just the industry, but maybe yourself. You're putting yourself out there so much, so you need to fill it back in and kind of lessen your own exposure. So I think if someone may have thought about camming a little bit, or wants to get back into camming, you might actually have a good chance at like becoming a top model. Because from what I understand, from based on these articles from Mannyvids Live, is it sounds like it might be very similar to what MFC has with MFC Share. I mean, everyone like kind of like adopts. Like nothing is ever original. Everything is always like an adaptation of something else. So, like just look at fucking, Instagram Live. They just completely stole Snapchat's idea. Like everyone stole Snapchat's idea. Everyone has like a Snap feature, even YouTube. So it's not that different for like cam model technology, which our campsites are just tech companies, if that makes sense. So yeah, I kind of think the MV Live is going to be very similar to MFC and MFC Share, where you can stream live, and then you can also have the opportunity to sell videos, panty sales, or whatever directly from your cam room, and that is a major plus because a lot of times cam sites make things very complicated for models and content creators to fucking sell your content. You know what I mean? So I think it's really good that we have these companies now that are streamlining things to the point that they understand, they're paying attention to the needs and the concerns and the feedback, and then they're getting together with people who can provide that technology and are actually putting it to some fucking use. I mean, doesn't that feel good to just have companies that listen to you and just support you and understand that if you're happy and making money, then they're making money? I mean, it just makes sense, right? That's a partnership. So yeah, that's that for that one. Sorry for the love fest for Mannyvids, but I don't know. I'm just like, I'm impressed with good tech. I don't care if you're the shit and you got it going on and you're doing what you need to be doing, then I'll give you your props. So speaking of companies, tech companies in the adult industry that are creating products and services for Camland, there's Sky Private, another partner for the Boleyn Models network, and a major friend for indie cam model performers, people who love doing their shows on like Sky Private. On Skype. Sky Private has a new venture called Unblur. It's not really new. I think they launched it like a year ago, and originally it was like a means to sell things like Instagram. I think it was supposed to be you can sell Instagram posts, and then the technology would blur your post or pictures so that it would make it private, something like that. I don't know. It wasn't. I don't know if it was the best idea, and it didn't take off. So if you're like Unblur, isn't that Instagram shit? You're correct. It is the same product. It's Unblur. It's the same name, but they decided to completely rebrand it, turn it into something else, and put it to some use. So you're probably wondering, what is it now? What have they just turned it into? Well, it is now a billing platform for independent cam shows. 85%, all chargebacks are covered. Um, Basically, you can sell Skype shows. You can sell, I believe right now, you can sell panties. You can sell other hard copy items and tangible items. But yeah, you can sell digital downloads. You can get tributes and so forth. If it sounds familiar, it's because it's, again, not a brand new concept. It's another company. We have Indy Bill or Indie Shop, which I think they just rebranded. It's like a very, very similar concept, but this time it's ran by Sky Private. So, yeah, they are billing themselves as technology for the adult industry, and um, I haven't signed up for it as of yet. So I'll be completely honest. I'm not sure um, how things work, like the uploads, how fast it is to upload your contents. It is brand spanking new. They just got on board with Boleyn Models. They do offer ACH direct deposit payloads and so forth. If you're interested in doing indie bill, I mean, sorry, not indie bill. You can do indie bill too because they are still a part of the network. But if you're looking to branch out from cam sites and get into independent camming, um, and let's say you don't want to build your own website because you're not knowledgeable in SEO and coding, some of the stuff that's somewhat required for like if you wanted to like do a self-hosted blog, you might want to look into doing one of these services because what that can do is that it's a hub. It's a not a self-hosted, but it's already a third-party platform where all you really have to do is just upload your content and write a description, and then you basically just tweet it out to your followers. Now, that is one really important thing. Speaking of followers, this is not a platform or a marketplace with traffic. These options, sites like Unblur and IndieBill or Indie Shop, I gotta get used to saying that name. These are not for people who are without their own fan base. This is for people who have a following, people who have customers that seek them out, that they engage with, maybe off of cam sites, traffic that they've generated for themselves, etc. So now you can just put a link in your Twitter, your Instagram, your Tumblr, your whatever, and you could set up a page with Unblur and start selling there. Now, one of the like pitfalls for doing something like that is that clearly it's not self-hosted. You don't have the complete control. You do, but you don't. But like you kind of have to have faith when you use stuff like that because you don't know how long it's going to be around. You're not sure if you really want to send all of your hard-earned traffic to a platform that doesn't perform 100%. So you might be a little nervous about that. One trick that I can tell you to help with that, and this is a branding trick or tip. Always own your name. Always, always, always. If you are just starting out in this industry today, you wandered onto this podcast or anything that has to do with camming, and you aren't sure where to start, you're wondering what's the first thing I should do. The very first thing you should do is own your name before you do anything else. Once you've decided, of course, what that name is, your performer name is, buy that shit. Get online. You can buy your domain name. You can go to Namecheap and like get it for literally next to nothing. You can buy, and it will come with free registration, private registration. But you can do it at GoDaddy. It kind of comes out to the same price because sometimes the name registration, the private registration, comes with the domain name purchase. But whether you go to GoDaddy, Namecheap, it's gonna come out to be about the same, maybe $1 or $2 difference. But buy your domain name. You know what I mean? Just buy it because this way, no matter where you set up your hub, whether it's self-hosted on a WordPress, whether it's a membership site that requires payment, like a paywall, whether it's your Manyvids store, if it's on I Want Clips, if it's you go with Unblur, like the new service, you can take that domain name and you can point it to any webpage on the internet. So this way, you own your name. No one else can come along and purchase your name and start to capitalize off of your hard work and success. And if something doesn't work out, if a service doesn't work out, say for instance you're using um, a platform to sell your Skype shows, your videos, your whatever, you can just take your domain name away from that page and point it somewhere else. You understand? So that way, your customers, your fans are now accustomed to typing in, I don't know, boleynmodels.com. You know what I mean? So they might notice, obviously, that there's going to be a slight change, that you may have changed your billing platform, which hopefully you're going to keep them up to date, letting them know that you're going to be making some slight changes. You don't want to just like move the water bowl and not tell them where it is. You know what I mean? They really are like puppies, but um, you want to get them trained or used to typing in your URL, and that way they can always find you. No matter what goes on, if something goes down, if a site shuts down, if maybe you got kicked off a platform for not following the terms of service or whatever. There's like 1,000 different things that can go wrong, or not wrong, but things change, things develop. Maybe you found something that's better. As long as you're owning your domain name and you use that for your marketing purposes and your own little hashtag with your domain name, that's how they're going to find you. So that's just something you want to think about for something like that. Some people don't go that extra step, but I know that they might regret it later on for, like I said, like 1,000 different reasons. But yeah, Unblur is probably really great for someone who just has a lot of content, has a lot of followers, not exactly sure what to do with it, have always wanted to dabble a little bit in independent camming. It's sounds like it's going to be a really good service technology. I mean, I've seen it before. It's worked before. I know lots of people love some of the other services that um, we've mentioned in the past. Honestly, if you want to go the indie route, like now has never been a better time. Because I mean, I could tell you like way back in the old days when I started doing it, we didn't really have like these sites like IndieBill, Unblur, and whatnot. We barely had directory sites. Like there were directory sites that you could get signed up for, but a lot of them are defunct now. Like some of them just didn't make it. Some of them never should have been in business. But like for the most part, like I remember doing shows on Yahoo, like. And what's the other one? I think MSN had like Eyeball or some shit. But yeah, it was mostly just scouring the internet looking for places to put my name, a link back to a website, descriptions, placing ads, just basically trying to get ranked in Google. And which is still a good thing. I'm grateful that I had that foundation. But man, those were a lot of long hours and so forth, and very little marketing tools. Like you had to create your own marketing tools. But now, camming is so popular and it's so developed, and a lot of these tech companies are starting to realize that like there's money there. Or mainstream ventures are starting to get into the adult. It's like the line has been blurred somewhat. Now it's just so much easier to just get started and jump in. Now that's not to say that, if you just jump in that the money's going to start, rolling in right away. Like no one should ever expect to start right out the gate and the money hand over fist. It's just going to like fall magically onto your crown. No, it doesn't quite work that way. Some people do get beginner's luck, but a lot of people, like some of the most successful people you see out there, have been at it for years. And how do I know? Because I've been at it for years, and I remember hustling right along with them, and finding little like obscure places. Like I'm gonna put a profile on this site, and I'm gonna make so much money because I'm gonna be the only cam girl on the site who ever discovered it in the history of the world. And then you see like the same three people who are already there with profiles. So yeah, it's good things come to those who hustle, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And there's a lot of people out there, but it's it's a growing industry. It might feel like it's saturated, but there's still money to be made, and you just have to get really creative with how you get your name out there and where do you look for it. And another little tip, because I'm gonna wrap this up because I guess I'm just rambling a little too much. um, Another little tip that you could learn or you could utilize for your hustle and trying to figure out, well, how do I make more money? How do I increase my income? Um, if you have an idea, execute it. Don't ask for opinions on your ideas. Just execute it. Just fucking do it. If it's a bad idea, you'll quickly find out. You might fuck it up. You might completely suck at it. It could be the dumbest idea ever, but it was your idea. And there's a very good chance that whatever that idea was, it was a meal ticket. It was the golden ticket. It was amazing. It will be amazing because it was yours. And you might have been the only person who thought about it, or maybe someone else has thought about it, but they're not talking about it because they're too busy executing it. So it's tempting sometimes to go to online and announce this great idea, and you want support and you want people to embrace you and rally behind you. But truth is, that's not always what it's like. Sometimes people might um, use their negativity and dim that flame and put out the flame, and it could distract you. It could be very, very it can be stressful. It can weigh down on you, and it can fuck up your energy. So if you have an idea and you have a concept and you've always wanted to try something, just fucking do it. Just get to work and be happy when it works out, because you could be reinventing the wheel. You could just be oiling the wheel. You could just be keeping it going. Who knows? But it's your idea, and there are other things. Just believe in yourself and stick with your plan and stay focused. I know I sound like a total fortune cookie or a self-help guru, but really, it's really, really, really. That's like the only way I really learned how to do a lot of things, was to just keep my head down and stay focused and keep acting out some of my ideas. Like, I even write things down. Like, I have notebooks that I write things down in, and I go back to the notebooks to get more inspiration. Like, I have notebooks that go back like 10, 11 years. And there's some ideas I had that I never got to that I can recycle and use again. And there was some stuff that I forgot about. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. One more thing before I leave. It goes back to the summertime hustle tips. I had a lot of questions, or a lot of, I was getting, seeing conversations about people wanting to lower their rates just because it was the summertime, and they were a little, hesitant because they were afraid, basically. Don't lower your rates. Don't let that be the first thing you do when things get a little slow, when things get a little hectic, and you're automatically like, well, maybe I'm just too expensive. Maybe I should drop my prices down to $2.99. Don't do that. Just don't do that, because you're hurting yourself. You really are. You're already facing maybe a less than stellar summer, and maybe some of the guys that are around can sense that you're not in the best mood. A lot of times these trolls can sense that and pick up on it with cam models, and they might kind of like give you an extra hard time. So imagine that you have people who are flocking to you. You've absorbed this bad energy, these trolls, and now you're lowering your rates. Things will not get any better. So if you're wondering things like, am I too cheap? What should I charge? You probably are a little too cheap. If you have to ask that question, you probably are going that low. My personal opinion, and I've talked to a couple other people, and if you ever want to know like prices and what models make without getting like specifics on who they are, talk to Will or Katie from Boleyn Models. But like, they will tell you, because they actually have like the demographics behind it. But basically, the lowest a cam model should probably make or charge per minute is $4.99 a minute. $4.99 a minute, and that's mostly when you're working on like box sites. don't go lower than $4.99 a minute. If you're brand new, you're starting out, you're thinking like, oh, but I'm new, I should go lower than that. No, you shouldn't. Go $4.99. Hell, go $5.99. Go higher than what you think you should be charging, because remember, you're not getting the full percentage. You know what I mean? So you want to try to go somewhere like that as a baseline price. And there's like a placebo effect that has to do with prices, because I was speaking to Will and on Skype, and he said that care models who charge higher rates, they tend to stay on longer than those who don't. And the placebo basically is that they actually enjoy what they do. They believe wholeheartedly that being expensive helps them get closer to their goal. It helps brings them a greater reward, and it helps them like accomplish those goals. So that's something I've always noticed too, because there's like this correlation between your rates and your worth, your self-worth. If you charge cheap, then you are a cheap person and not worth it. Not the argument I'm trying to make at all. Not what I'm saying at all, but I do think that there tends to be that mindset where people think that, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm too big, I'm too dark, I'm too Asian, or I'm too, whatever. Like I could just fill in too many isms or whatever. You'll have it, excuses where people feel like they should lower their prices. For the love of God, stop doing that. It's not necessary. If that's what you believe, of course, then it's going to be harder for you to understand what I'm trying to say or what anyone is trying to say to you, because you may have already like had a self-fulfilling prophecy where you've already made up your mind that this is what it is and that's what it has to be. But if you could kind of break out of that box and open up a little bit and just think about what it is that you want to project out there in the world, what you want to project on cam, your content, your phone calls, and try to emulate that image, and then make sure it matches your rates. Your rates are comparable to what you're putting out. Like, I mean, obviously you want to work on your technology, you have all the right equipment, high-speed internet. But even then, I still say to girls who are brand new and maybe you got shitty internet, maybe you're like streaming with the fucking potato webcam, I still don't think you should charge cheap. I still think that because of what you're doing, the service that you're providing is a luxury. It is not, slinging fries at the drive-thru at McDonald's. You are performing live virtual adult shows. Why on earth would you want to discount yourself? You know what I mean? So, just right out the gate, up those prices. And there are different ways that you can do that. Like, you don't just have to, like, go from $2.99, $3.99, $4.99 and start going $9.99 a minute. There are little things you can do, like work on add-ons, work on your upselling, work on maybe package deals that aren't really package deals, but it's all like little marketing. But I put up an article on the website. It's Cam Model raise the rates. Upsell the sell with sales techniques and stuff like that. So I did that about a month ago. What I'm going to do for this podcast, I'm going to write up an article, and I'm going to include all the little things that I talked about here, and I'm going to put like links, highlights for the summer, a recap of all the cool things for the summer and things that can help you get through the summer and prepare for the next season in camming. New websites and so forth, and even like a list of little techniques that you can do to get more money without scaring your customer base if that's what you're afraid of, or little ways that you can help, because it really is a sales job. It really is a sales job. Like I say this all the time. It's not just log on, sit, look pretty. Like, there are very few people who can get away with that. Kudos to you, but sometimes it's going to take a lot more than that, and it might be overload to take in what I'm trying to say right now, but like, there are things that you can do to increase your $4 a minute, $5 a minute cam show, where in the end it comes out to like $10 a minute before the guy even knows it. So that's all I have for now. I'm starting to lose my voice. It's still pretty early in the morning, and just been talking and rambling. I hope this has been informative. Um, I'm going to come back with more guests throughout the week. This is the only podcast I've ever done where it's just me talking, but it was overdue, and I just haven't had enough time to actually sit down and talk to other people. Sometimes it's just easier to talk to yourself like you're in a camera, like, you're trying to entertain yourself while guys are in and out, in and out, in and out. So you just kind of talk to yourself. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I do that. So I decided, fuck it, why not just do it this morning for the podcast? So yeah, seems like a good place to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, you can leave it in the comments here on SoundCloud. The podcast can be found, the domain name, because I own a domain name for it. Remember that? And just pointed towards SoundCloud. It's shitguysaytocamgirls.com. You can also find me at the Boleyn Models Twitter or any of the social media accounts. And then my own personal account is Pussy Vita Pound. So yeah, if you want to follow me there or here or wherever, those are the places you can find us, me, and that's it for now. And happy camming and have fun out there. Bye bye.